This week on the Analog Circle podcast, Horizon Zero Dawn is getting a trilogy. Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming to Game Pass. 160,000 Nintendo accounts have been hacked. And WWE 2K21 has been canceled. These stories and not too many more can be found here in episode 125. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I want to truly thank you guys for being here this week for another episode of the Analog Circle podcast. Now, I gotta let you guys know very quickly, this week's show is not going to be too long. I'm going to unfortunately have to skip the feedback section because I have to leave out for work in about less than 2 hours. So I am strapped for time, but to the people that wrote in, shout out to Free Fly Ferret. I thank you, brother. Shout out to Vaughn for your voicemail. It was a very, very good question. Shout out to Felipe, Ben Hanna Jr. I really appreciate you writing in. And shout out to a new listener of the podcast, Timothy Poole, for writing in as well. You brothers, I tell you, the last thing I want to do is ever skip a week without a feedback section. But like I said, unfortunately, this week I'm really strapped for time. And I promise you guys, I will get to them on the next episode. But I can't thank you guys enough for writing in. Shout out to y'all. Big shout outs to you brothers. I truly thank y'all. But I definitely want to just let you guys know really quickly what I've been into this week, and that is Batman Arkham Origins. I have found out that you could play this game on the Xbox One earlier in the week, sometime around like Tuesday or Wednesday. Someone was saying they were playing it, and I was like, man, I didn't even know this game was even backwards compatible, but it is. And I tell you, so far, I'm still early. I'm about 2.5 hours in, and the game has been excellent. Graphically, we're talking about a game that came out like almost 7 years ago. It still holds up. It still looks really, really good. Gameplay is solid. The story has been well done so far. They've introduced me to new characters. Well, to me, they're new characters that I didn't even know existed. And it has just been great. I don't know where the low scores have been coming from. Maybe it's because Rocksteady wasn't behind it and it was WB Montreal, I believe, that did it. And these are the guys that are supposed to allegedly be behind the new Batman game, Court of Owls. So I wanted to see what their resume was going to be like. So being able to play this game gives me even more faith that they will be able to bring us a very, very good game. So if you haven't checked it out, get it, on pre-sale, I guess, when you can, when the stores open up. It's a great game so far, man. Don't believe the bad reviews. If you're a Batman fan and you enjoyed all the other two, as well as Arkham Knight was just a pinnacle, though. Outside of the Batmobile, that game was just absolutely incredible. But it's still a very good game. I would highly recommend Batman fans that might have skipped this because of reviews, definitely pick it up and check it out for yourself. But without further ado, man, I think I rambled a little more than I was supposed to on that. Let's go ahead, though, and get into what we all come here for, brothers and sisters, and that is the gaming news. The gaming news, brothers, that went down. Also, I want to let you guys know this, too. For any listeners, any more new listeners that might be out there, you can always feel free to write into the feedback section. You can write in by emailing the show, and the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com, or you can call the line, brother, and let your voice be heard at 443-216-9934. Now let's go ahead and get into the news. So this is a quick news story now, and this is kind of personal for me. Lamar Jackson will be the cover athlete of Madden 21. Now, Jackson said, and I quote, "It's always been a dream of mine since I was a little kid, since I first started playing Madden. It's dope. I have every Madden. To me, to be on the front of it It's a dream come true. End of quote. Now, when he was asked about the Madden curse, which I'm worried about, he said, and I quote, Patrick Mahomes is on the front and he won the Super Bowl MVP. I want that curse. I hope that's a curse. End of quote. So, of course, you guys know I'm from Baltimore. Born and raised here, huge Ravens fan. Last year we came so close, but yet so far away from getting to the Super Bowl. And I tell you, I'm worried. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he did get hurt midway through the season, and he was able to actually bounce back. He might have been the only player, now correct me if I'm wrong, in Madden history that was actually on the cover. Yes, he did get touched, but he won the Super Bowl. I don't know if I've ever seen that from a previous Madden athlete, cover athlete. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on into the next story. Now, in Nintendo news, it has been reported and confirmed that 160,000 Nintendo accounts have been hacked. And because of this, Nintendo will no longer allow users to log into their accounts using their NNIDs. Now, Nintendo also said they will reset passwords for accounts that were affected, and they will notify you if your account was affected. They also continue to say that credit card information wasn't directly viewable, but stored payment information could have been used to make unauthorized purchases. So Nintendo is recommending people go through their purchase history, and if you find something that shouldn't be there, reach out to Nintendo to cancel it. This is very, very unfortunate. This is the risk that we take, putting our information just online in general. But hopefully Nintendo, they will get this situation straightened out, and they will offer refunds to people who actually had things charged on their account that shouldn't have been. So just be on the lookout. Make sure your Switch is okay. And once again, if it's not, call Nintendo. Get in contact. Let's move on into the next story. Now, this is a quick news story, and this is actually really cool. Bandai Namco are doing their part to help during this pandemic by giving away Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 for free. Now, here is their quote from Twitter. We're asking fans to do their part and have hashtag more fun for everyone at home. To lend a hand, we're sending our goodwill ambassador, Pac-Man, into every home by making Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 free from April 24th to May 10th. You can get it for free on PC through Steam. You can get it on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I actually was playing this. I don't know why I didn't mention, well, maybe I didn't mention it because I had the story right here, but this game is a boatload of fun. It is not your average Pac-Man game. I remember playing and having the first champion edition of Pac-Man, Championship Edition, the first one, and I was addicted to it. The game was absolutely great. Free Fly Ferret, you got to pick this up, brother, so you can show your daughter one of my favorite gaming heroes, Pac-Man. This game is awesome. For anybody that has been a Pac-Man fan, for anybody that hasn't or wasn't a Pac-Man fan, it's free. Pick it up. I got it on the Xbox One. And just make sure that you get it before May 10th, because then the price will go back to normal. But I thought this was a great gesture. Sony has done it with the Uncharted series, the trilogy, the original trilogy, the first three. They also threw in Journey. And then you hear sometimes people complaining that these are old games. Why are they giving away old games? It's like, can't you just be grateful that they thought enough to say, here are some games for free? Everybody always gets on these companies, they're money hungry, they're this, they're that, they're throwing all of these DLCs your way, trying to get your money. Then when they do something that is a good gesture, it's still no good. So, I mean, come on, man. Just download the games, have a good time. We're stuck at home, and just be grateful, man. Good grief. I don't understand the backlash. But let's go ahead and move into another story. I believe this was from IGN. Now, some of you may remember a game called Daymare 1998, which started out as a tribute game to Resident Evil 2. Now, this was announced back in July of 2015, when the title of the game was Resident Evil 2 Reborn. But not long after that, Capcom had revealed that they were working on their own Resident Evil 2 remake and shut down the indie studio's homage project. But instead of giving up, Invader Games decided to make their own third-person survival horror game by building on the work they already did, but swapping out everything Resident Evil 2 for original ideas and names. Now, the game will be released on April 28th for Xbox One and PlayStation 4. And I believe this is like a $40 title. It's not, now I want you guys to know, it doesn't have the budget of a Resident Evil 2 remake. It's not that at all, but it looks solid. And the other reason why I'm bringing this up is because we know that a couple of months ago, it was a project out there for a remake of Dino Crisis. Now, who knows? I don't know. I mean, of course, Dino Crisis, the remake was canceled. Maybe these guys, they'll be able to maybe switch up some names, switch up some characters, and we could possibly see some kind of rendition of another Dino Crisis. And then maybe not Resident Evil, but Capcom will say, well, shucks, they're about to release this, or they want to. Let's go ahead and release Dino Crisis. I don't know. That's very, very far-fetched thinking on my part. But for people that were familiar with this game, that wondered what happened to it, you will be able to pick it up, like I said, April 28th of this month. Now, let's go ahead and move into some wrestling, some video game wrestling news. Now, for wrestling fans, it's official. There will be no WWE 2K21 this year. It has been canceled. And to add to this, over on Twitter, the hashtag WWE 2K20 account said that they will be sharing details on the future of the franchise on Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Now, we know that, the WWE series has not been received very, very great. This past year they had glitches. I believe IGN, they gave it like a 4.75 or somewhere around there. Most people say that I believe it was SmackDown, that was like the best wrestling game out there, and WWE 2K has not come close. They said they've taken out modes that they shouldn't have. I think the Road to WrestleMania was one of the modes that they took out, and people were upset about that. So the franchise has not been too popular. So who knows, man? Maybe on Monday they might be saying that, hey, the game has been canceled from now on. We don't know, but sales haven't been great, and it's just not been received too well. But anyway, let's go ahead and move into the other quick story this week. Now, Red Dead Redemption 2 will be coming to Game Pass on May 7th. This is absolutely great. I know that Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to be taken out, so I guess they'll be swapping one for the other. But I mean, this is the thing about Game Pass, man. I mean, they're giving AAA games. Yeah, they're not brand spanking new games, but they are giving us relatively new games. Red Dead Redemption 2 come out, almost 2 years ago, I guess, if my timeline is right, maybe a year, 6-7 months ago. But nonetheless, this shows that Microsoft, they are truly committed to getting, great games into the service. And I think this is just another feather in their cap, having Red Dead Redemption 2 coming to Game Pass next month. Now, let's go ahead and get into the last story this week. I know this was a short one. I know, brothers. I'm gonna make it up though. I'm gonna make it up to y'all. But let's talk about Horizon Zero Dawn. So according to a report from VGC, Guerrilla Games is planning a trilogy for the new franchise. Now, Horizon Zero Dawn 2 will also feature co-op, which was supposed to have been in the original, but due to technical restrictions, it wasn't implemented. But VGC is also reporting that the scope of the game is gigantic. Now, once again, none of this has been confirmed by Sony, so take this information with a mustard seed of truth. But I did hear, that it was a few limitations. I believe they wanted the main character to fly, and because of the technical limitations of the PlayStation 4, that was a feature that was taken out, and Aloy couldn't. So, I mean, this game has sold over 10 million copies. It's one of the biggest no-brainers in the gaming industry right now that Horizon Zero Dawn will be getting a sequel. It was one of PlayStation's biggest new IPs this generation, and they would be insane not to capitalize on this. So, I mean, I think it's a shoo-in, but for this to be co-op, how cool would that be? And that the world is going to be gigantic, very expansive. I thought the first one, the world was pretty darn big. Granted, I haven't finished it, haven't gone back to it in quite some time, but I've been pulling out stuff from my backlog. I mean, good grief, I just did, playing through Batman Arkham Origins. I mean, god darn, that's a whole joint. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the gaming news this week. God dag, man, 16 minutes. Wow, man, that's got to be a darn record. But with that though, guys, I want to still ask you guys the question of the week, and I know you guys saw it when you clicked on it. Probably wasn't expecting the podcast to be this short, and I do apologize, guys, but I really got to get the heck out of here. But my question to you guys is, does Nintendo get a free pass? Because Nintendo is a company that has truly not had to compete with Microsoft and Sony. Some of the things that Nintendo gets away with are criminal in the gaming world. Using your phone to actually do voice chat. Do you know how bad Sony and Microsoft would have got torn up for that? I know Nintendo caught some backlash over it, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it would have been for Sony or Microsoft. They've never had, well, not never, but for years, they haven't had the cutting edge in technology with their consoles. They're always a generation or a generation and a half behind the competition, and we're okay with it. I mean, Nintendo, this generation, well, for them, their generational console, the Nintendo Switch, to me, and I'm going to sound like a hypocrite, but it is the best Nintendo console they have made, in my opinion. It's the greatest console they have made because it's a hybrid. It's something that we've never seen before. They continue to bring out great games. They continue to support the platform. They're getting third-party support, so I cannot knock what they have done with the Switch. But I just want to know, do we give them a pass? So with that being said, for you guys that want to be a part of this conversation, like I said earlier, you can either call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard. Or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell. I tell you guys, I couldn't find, I just couldn't find the time, man, to, do more. But like I said, I will make it up to you guys. Once again, I want to shout out to Free Fly Ferret, want to shout out to Vaughn, want to shout out to Felipe, and the new listener, Mr. Timothy Poole, for actually writing in the feedback section. I will definitely get to you guys' questions next week. And with that being said, matter of fact, with that being said, guys, I'm going to get on out of here, but we will definitely do it again next week. But before we officially leave, always remember, guys, it is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So with that being said, until next week, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.